Welcome back out to the greenhouse. We've got a beautifully sunny day. It just broke over the trees there, so I shed my sweatshirt. It's nice and warm in the greenhouse. We lit a stove before the sun came up just to add some extra heat in here because it was about 50 degrees when we came out. Had about 29 degrees overnight and it is wickedly windy. So there's the weather forecast. We are out here talking about hydroponics and DIY aquaponics. Hydroponics is just the process of growing with water and added nutrients. Aquaponics being the difference where you have fish to provide those nutrients or most of the nutrients for your crops. Now if that sounds interesting, please consider subscribing to the channel. We're gonna go check everything out. So we tried our hand at some foraging this morning. We didn't have the best pours. It was really cold out this morning. It's still almost dark when we were pouring this up here. You can see the shape we were trying to create here, but the pours did not come out the best. So we're gonna keep experimenting before we bring a full video on that. Running our compost heating still, warm water, warm air coming out of there, blowing warm air off the stove when it's going. Took our heating experiment down, making tons more mud bricks so we can fire them up. So the greenhouse looks a lot different. Trying to get a bunch of work done. We've been making as many bricks as we can out of necessity. We want to clear this space for our pond and we want to make a bunch of bricks. All our heading collards, shards. Pulled a lot of crops out of here as we pulled all the tunnels out. This heading collard spent the winter in here and he's going to seed on us. Just lots and lots of crops. Lots of free crops in here. Strawberries starting to flower on us and stuff. We've got all of our market tables. Tons and tons of market plants all popping up here. Just pan over everything as we make our way down to where we're going to be working today. Now I included hydroponics with our aquaponics here. I don't actually have any fish to release yet. We took all of our goldfish and koi and stuff like that that my son had and put them in a tank in the basement and we kept them alive all winter. They're going to go back in here soon enough. But you can do this and get a lot of plants to root with simple hydroponics. You don't have to grow a whole full season in your hydroponics. You can just use it to have a nice safe spot to store your plants or to get them to root up quickly and allow yourself a little bit of time to work with them. We do aquaponics all the time. Just adding a couple fish to the system really benefit all of the crops that are growing, and the added nutrients also help those rooted plants. If you've got a couple rooted elderberries or like all of these blackberries here, you can see a whole bunch of growths coming off of those, and that is very pertinent to our season. We've got to have all of these crops grown and we've got to have them sprouted and potted up and ready to sell. So having those extra nutrients definitely allow a better success rate on your crops, and the nice ebb and flow of constant cool water definitely makes that difference also. Now that being said, let's cover everything it takes to get started with your very own aquaponics system. So first and foremost, you have to have some type of overflow tank. We have a 110 or 120 gallon tank behind me here, and this tank has been used for many seasons. It's a thermal mass tank all winter and an aquaponics tank in the summertime. So just having some type of container to be able to catch all of that overflow, because this bin has to fill all the way up and then it has to dump. So you've got to account for the excess water as it drains and fills. So the next thing you need is some way to move that water. Now an aquarium pump or a marine bilge pump or this transfer pump or our small little pump here. This is actually the battery box and the pump is only about that big down in the tank, and I will pull that out as we swap these systems over to a larger pump because we're going to add another aquaponics bin here and we're going to build it together. Next thing you're going to need is some type of tubing. Now we use PEX tubing and kind of expensive fittings to get all of this situated in the past here. But you can do a simple setup. Like with this transfer pump, we can just hook up regular lines to it and run it right out. We don't have to downsize and match up fittings and stuff. This transfer pump will power both of our systems here. It will fill both of these systems every 15 minutes as we've got a timer set up right over here. We reuse everything every year. We've got this bin with all the parts in it, but you can see that it's got the hole here. Now we drilled a 1-inch hole. This is just a regular bin you'll find at your local hardware store. Now we found all of these for under $20 a piece. I bought like 4 or 5 of them at one time. Once you've got a bin, some type of bucket or bin, you've got your hole drilled for the centerpiece. You've got to get a bulkhead. Now this is a 1.5-inch bulkhead right here, and it's reverse thread. I always forget when I'm taking them apart or putting them together. They are reverse threading, so you've got your bulkhead and 2 washers, and those will basically seal, and this is the top, and then this will be the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on here real quick. So this is our top. Our top piece is going to go right in, sit right in there, and then we've got our bottom. We put our washer on, and then we've got to remember reverse threads, and we can get this sealed up here. I will come back and tighten this with a tool because it will leak if you don't tighten it up. So we've got both of those pieces situated. Now we can attach to them. That first piece, this white PVC piece, is just a little 1-inch cap here with threading on it. So I threaded that little piece in, and on the bottom side we're going to go ahead and do the same thing because the inside of your bulkhead is threaded in there. So we'll be able to thread right into that. So now you've got your drain. This is going to shoot the water straight back down. You really don't need that piece because it's going to drain anyway. I just like to give it a little bit extra length so it's not draining onto a board or anything like that, causing weakness. So the opposite of that drain is going to be the funnel or the spout where the actual vacuum is going to be created. So we just plug that one right in, and that's basically the same thing as this bottom piece here. I just didn't have the little coupler attached or the little threaded fitting there. So now both top and bottom look exactly the same, and we're able to proceed to the next step here. So what I've done is taken myself a 2-inch piece of PVC, and I drilled little holes all the way around to allow water flow up underneath it so it can actually form a siphon. And this piece goes right over. So the rule of thumb is to have less than a 1-inch gap from the top of your bell to the actual hole that it is siphoning and draining through, so you can create a good drain effect and a good siphon effect. So this cap has to be sealed. You cannot have any holes in it, and it has to be basically glued on, or if it's a good fit, it won't matter. As long as it's airtight, and your water has to be forced down through the holes and then back up and then through this inner drain tube. And as that happens, it begins a suction force and it drains and draws the rest of the water all the way down. So the last piece to this, to protect our bell siphon, you can see we've got a piece of PVC back there that we drilled a ton of holes in. So I went the cheap route with this one. This is just some perforated tile here, some cheap little perforated drain tile, and that fits right over top, and that is simply just to filter and protect, keeping rocks and debris out of your bell and your siphon so it continues to operate flawlessly with all of the junk and plants and roots and clay pebbles in here. I'm gonna go ahead and set this up on the container, right up on our tank here. Get the 2 boards nice and level. So now that we've got all the pieces attached together and we've got this actually set up and in place, all we've got to do is fill it with medium, and medium is clay pebbles for us 99% of the time. Everybody uses clay pebbles. Now we're going to try and fire some of our own clay pebbles, so maybe drop a comment if you want to see that. Now those simple clay pebbles have a lot of holes. They're very porous and they create the perfect environment to grow roots, to grow good microorganisms and bacteria that benefit your plants and root growth. And this is the perfect environment. So using clay pebbles, there's a reason everybody does it. It works very, very well, and they're reusable. All of these parts that I'm showing you today, I haven't bought anything for this. This is all stuff that we had last summer. Take it apart, take it down. Just like this little heater that was over here, we took that apart, took it down, and we're going to use the solar system to power this solar aquaponics. No energy used from the grid. We are just basically using this and moving the water for free. I'm going to go ahead and dump and fill up our clay pebbles into this tub here. Got a few roots in there still from last year. I must not have cleaned these out very good. So I'm just going through and I'm leveling all this out so when it fills up, it doesn't overflow one spot, one corner or something like that. Just getting them nice and level. Even though the water does it itself, I don't like to have to chase rocks or pebbles out of my overflow tank or on the ground or anything. So I had to make myself 2 little attachments here. So I just stripped up some wire and I gave myself 2 alligator clips, one red, one black. Simple enough. So what I did, instead of taking an outlet and just plugging it in, I just wired into our timer here. So we've got a positive and negative. We can hook right up to our pump. Let's take a look at our solar system here. Starting at our solar controller here, we've got our power out coming in to our little timer. You can see every 15 minutes it's going to run. Simple wire in, close the little locker here, and it's got a nice little case over it. Got a battery that comes with it even. So it's got a little backup battery, keep it on and running. And I can put the little case back over. So we've got a simple timer. Our power runs into the timer and then runs back out, and then it's going to run to our pump. Got to use the right attachment or fitting, but then I would have had to spend some money. So basically we're going to hook this alligator clip up to the black wire, and then we're going to hook this red clip up. Woo! It's working. So we've got our pump drawing from down in the tank, flowing back up through this black pipe here, and we've got a little T-fitting. This little T-fitting, and then we can just attach 2 little simple pieces of hose to it. Now we've got a T-hose, and we can turn it on here. So now that we've got our 2 aquaponics or hydroponics for now, there'll be aquaponics once we add our fish. We're going to add those later tonight. This water is well acclimated. It's not too cold. It's about 50 degrees, so the water stays about 50, goes up to about 60 during the day. Now that we got shade on it, we've got our shade cloth up only on this end. The rest of the greenhouse is nice and bright, but all of our market plants and stuff over here and everything down on this end needs shade to be able to survive and get a good start to life. So this was the pump that we were using before. Not very big at all compared to what we're using now or other systems and other pumps that we use. However, this was a very simple and awesome autonomous system. We used this for the last 7 or 8 years now. Now this is the pump that we heated our compost heated greenhouse with. It's got little suction cups there. And this is the little solar panel that we use. So this was the setup for our compost heated greenhouse, showing how minimalistic it really was. This is the tube that we were filling with. Very small aquarium tubing is what we were using. So it was taking a long time to fill it up. And this is not the kind of system we want for our aquaponics. We want good refresh on the cold water, and then it's going to dump, and then it has a little bit of time to rest and then refresh. That ebb and flow of the cold water filling up, draining constantly is going to really benefit your crops and really allow for good success early in the season. We're still at the first week of March here. It's still cold out. We've been having some really cold temperatures. Last night wasn't too bad, so hopefully we've got an early spring coming. We've got tons and tons of crops to fill out in here. I just placed a ton of our elderberries in here, and these were placed in bubbling water for a couple days, and they really shot off growth already, so I didn't want to lose them. So getting this bin set up and getting them in the water to allow those roots to grow before they get potted, because I don't have that many pots ready at one time. We'll take 100 to 500 cuttings and stick them all in here for a week or 2, and they'll have roots when they're done. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching this video. And one more thing is, I shim these up once in a while if my tank isn't perfectly level, because that's my base, is my metal tank here. So if it's not level, these will overflow. So shimming them up may be a necessity to get an even water flow and an even water fill, so you don't get an overflow off of one corner or something like that. So I'd like to state that we're gonna fill this up and let it drain, and then we're out of here. Got good water flow on both. Both of our bells are nice and clear of debris, nice and protected. Everything seems to be working well. I need a little bit more rocks in here. I have more I gotta dump in there just to get it all the way full. You can see that draining back there. Perfectly releasing all that water. Didn't overflow on us. Working perfectly. I'm waiting for this one to drain here. So after another minute or two here, you can see it's right at the water level, but it is draining also. So that is one thing you want to check before you leave a system like this. Something that is going to run on its own. This one just ran out of water, fully drained. This one's still flowing pretty good there. You don't want these to overflow, so you want to make sure that they are going to drain and drain properly and you're not overfilling them. So that is it. These are running on their own with free energy from the sun, moving water with a pump, and they're draining on their own with a bell siphon and using all of the cool water to root up all these blackberries, garlic, elderberries. We've got some persimmons cut up back there. There's lots and lots of stuff that we still got to get into these bins. They are not nearly as full as I want them to be, but I wanted to share this with everybody before I got going on it, because it's always a process setting these up, especially when I move them. Last year they were down on the other end, so bringing all this stuff back in, setting it up, wanted to show everybody how it goes. So thank you to all my subscribers, and I will see you guys next time.